While the world pays for energy, has anyone figured out how to get it for free? Imagine this scene. Entire cities plunged into blackouts, while in secret locations, hidden from public view, a power source infinity shines silently. You never hear about it on the news. But what if they told you that there was a technology capable of powering the entire planet without using a drop of oil, without depending on solar panels or nuclear reactors? And that this technology is not only real, but has been in operation for decades, in the shadows. The global elite would never allow this to come to light, because energy is power, control, money, and if the population had free access to it, everything would change. Wars over oil would cease to exist. Billion-dollar corporations would collapse. But then why is this information still hidden? Who is holding this revolution back? And mainly, why? Leaked documents, former NASA employees, silenced scientists, and secret records point to underground facilities located in inhospitable regions of the planet. Antarctica, Area 51, bases on the Moon. All these points have something in common: the presence of advanced technologies that shouldn't exist yet. Something out of our time, something non-human. Does it sound like something from science fiction? That's exactly what they want you to think, but when evidence starts to accumulate and voices start to be raised, ignoring it becomes impossible. Some call it quantum energy. Others claim that it is knowledge recovered from ancient civilizations or even beings from outside Earth. Either way, there is a hidden truth that you need to see with your own eyes. This video is not just another conspiracy theory. He is a journey, an in-depth investigation into forgotten documents, never before released reports, and visual evidence that they have not been shown before. You're about to cross an invisible line, and what you see next could forever change your view of the world, science, and even the reality in which we live. Get ready, because what you're about to discover will challenge everything you believe to be true. But before I show you what they have been hiding for so long, I want to hear from you. What do you think is really behind all this? Do you believe that we already have access to an unlimited energy source and that it is being kept away from the population on purpose? Or does this technology come from something far beyond our understanding? Leave your most daring theory here in the comments, without filter. Because on this channel, the truth is not censored. Every opinion counts, and the more voices that emerge, the harder it will be to silence what needs to be revealed. Now take a deep breath, because what follows is not a theory. It is a trail of evidence, a trail that was left behind by those who dared to go further. And we will follow each step, one by one, wherever that takes us. Let's open the next layer of this mystery, and after that, nothing will feel normal anymore. And when we start following this trail, what we find is even more disturbing. We are not talking about rumors thrown to the wind, but about official documents of real patent registrations technologies so advanced that they seem to have come straight from a science fiction film. Patents registered in the United States by scientists directly linked to NASA, the Department of Defense, and institutions you've probably never heard of until now. Technologies like magnetic thrusters, self-sustainable energy generators, and even devices that manipulate the gravitational field. All of this documented with name, date, and signature. But interestingly, soon after they were registered, these patents disappeared. Some were archived for national security reasons. Others disappeared from the public database. Still others were bought by shell companies that never produced anything at all. Do you notice the pattern? Every time something threatens to break the traditional energy monopoly, something bigger comes into play to silence. And we're not talking about empty theories. The very concept of zero-point energy, a theoretical technology capable of extracting energy from the quantum vacuum, was formally registered by scientists with a clean, award-winning record and a solid career. Some of these names simply disappeared from public life after these patents were registered. And it's no coincidence, it's standard. The feeling here is no longer just curiosity, it's anger. Anger for realizing that we are being deprived of something that already exists. Anger at seeing that the planet is sinking into wars for oil, while perhaps there is a clean, free, and infinite source of energy, locked in safes. And all of this recorded. The truth is not being invented. She is being archived. And you know what's most shocking? These records exist to this day in files that are rarely accessed but have escaped total erasure. And with each document, With each technical detail described, the clearer it becomes that someone up there knows more than they should and is hiding it from us all. If this revolts you as much as it revolts me, leave a like now, because that's how we push this content to reach more people who also deserve to know the truth. And now tell me something. Do you believe that this technology really exists and is being hidden? Or do you think it's just a misinterpreted theory? Comment below. And he really comments. You can just say they are hiding everything, or even free energy now, because when you comment, the algorithm understands that this issue matters and shows more people that they are feeling the same thing as you. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. This here is just the beginning. There's so much more coming and you won't want to miss what's coming. And when we start connecting the filed patents with the names behind them, things start to get even murkier. Because these are not just ideas that have been buried. They have been people, brilliant scientists who dared to go against the system, who challenged traditional energy models, and for that, they paid a huge price. Cases that involve not only persecution, but deaths mysterious. And it's not an exaggeration, it's not a shallow theory, it's real and documented. Let's start with a name that few know, but that should be in the history books. Eugene Malov, a renowned scientist, graduated from MIT with experience in large institutions and who dedicated his life to studying alternative forms of energy generation. Malov argued with all his strength that so-called cold fusion was viable, real, and functional, a technology that, if applied at scale, could provide clean, inexhaustible, and cheap energy for the entire planet. He published articles, gave interviews, challenged universities, and denounced sabotage. He said, in all words, that there was an institutionalized conspiracy to suppress this type of advance. And in 2004, just before presenting new evidence about his experiments, Malov was found dead, brutally beaten. The case was filed as a common robbery attempt. But to this day, there are unanswered questions. Why didn't he have any signs of reacting? Why did documents disappear from your laboratory? Why did his death coincide precisely with the moment when he said he was about to reveal something that would change everything? Another case is that of Stanley Meyer, the inventor of the so-called water-powered car, a revolutionary system that, according to him, could completely replace the use of fossil fuels. Meyer even publicly demonstrated how the car worked. It received media coverage, and even international investors began knocking on his door. But suddenly he started being called a fraud. Articles began to emerge attacking his credibility. And the scariest point, during a dinner with two businessmen interested in his project, Stanley got up from the table, ran out of the restaurant and shouted, "They poisoned me." Shortly afterwards, he was dead. Official cause, brain aneurysm. But the family disputes it to this day. And guess what? All technical documentation for his invention disappeared. Some pieces were leaked, and to this day there are groups trying to rebuild their technology. These are not isolated cases. They are part of a pattern of silencing. Because every time someone threatens the system, be it government, corporate, or scientific, something happens. Polls are ridiculed, researchers are demoralized, excerpts from interviews disappear from the internet, articles are revised until they turn to dust. And the public is fed the narrative that it doesn't work, that it's pseudoscience, that it's impossible. But for those who really delve behind the scenes, as we are doing now, the truth begins to appear like a hidden code amidst the chaos. There is a coordinated movement. There is an invisible war between the advancement of knowledge and the preservation of vested interests. And it is happening now, before our eyes. And the saddest thing about all of this is knowing that we could be living in a completely different world. A world without dependence on oil. A world without environmental destruction in the name of progress. A world where energy was a right for everyone, and not a market product controlled by half a dozen giants. But for this to happen, the silence needs to be broken. Now let me ask you, have you ever heard of these names? Malov, Meyer. Have you ever suspected that some technologies disappear from the map for convenience? Comment below. Just comment. You can write, "It wasn't an accident," or even, "Who is behind?" These phrases help to move the discussion and spread this content to more people. The truth only comes to light when we talk about it. And as we continue digging, the earth becomes denser. Because the hidden names, the silenced, scientists and the buried patents did not disappear into the void by chance. They disappeared because of a network, a complex structure meticulously assembled to protect a single objective, absolute dominion. And here comes a connection that few people dare to investigate: the direct link between exotic energy technologies and NASA missions, secret military programs, and contracts with private military companies. The truth begins to emerge when we analyze the records of space missions that, on paper, are just scientific explorations, but when you look closer, they carry technologies that have not even been officially revealed to the global scientific community. We are talking about propellants that do not consume conventional fuel, of movement mechanisms that defy the logic of Newton's propulsion, of devices supposedly capable of manipulating electromagnetic fields around probes and satellites. This is not cheap speculation. There are technical documents, patents linked to DARPA, and Lockheed Martin, which suggest the use of unconventional energy systems on experimental satellites. Interestingly, these satellites orbit highly strategic regions of the Earth. Coincidence? And why would NASA be involved in this? Because it works as a hybrid link. Officially, it is a civilian exploration and research agency, but anyone who knows NASA's history knows almost all of its cutting-edge projects have direct participation from military companies or are financed with resources. That first passed through the hands of the Department of Defense. Space missions that should only be observational carry classified payloads on board. Billion-dollar contracts are signed with companies such as Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, and Boeing, and much of the details of these agreements are covered by absolute secrecy clauses. This is where things become a war game, because the question is no longer whether these technologies work. The real question is, who will control it first? We are talking about a silent geopolitical dispute, where energy is the new weapon. Imagine a country with access to self-sufficient generators, which operate off the grid, without the need for fuel. Imagine a fleet of satellites with anti-gravity thrusters, powered by clean and infinite energy, capable of moving without leaving a trace of heat, without depending on fuel, and being able to hover in orbits for an indefinite period of time. Now, understand, this already exists, and it is being used, but it's not for supplying homes. It's not to help the planet. It is to maintain the control over space, about communications, about what we see and what we don't see. This is why scientists are silenced, not because they are wrong, but because they are too right and too dangerous for the status quo. And there is one more point that cannot be ignored: the direct involvement of figures linked to military operations in supposedly civilian missions. People with a background in military aerospace, engineering are behind technologies present in probes such as Voyager, Cassini, and more recently in spacecraft such as Orion. Some of these names also appear in the records of companies such as Skunk Works, the ultra-secret arm of Lockheed Martin, which for decades has been working on projects considered beyond the state of the art. This is no coincidence. This is strategy. The secret here is not scientific, it's military, and concealment is not done to protect you. It is to ensure that just a few gain access to a power that could change everything. If this part made you see how deep this network goes, leave a like now, because this content needs to break the walls of the bubble. The truth can no longer be the privilege of a few. And tell me one thing, do you think NASA is still just a scientific agency, or has it already become an extension of an invisible power system? Comment below. You can write phrases like energy is power, or science or control, because each comment pushes this video to more people who need to open their eyes too. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because the next part will reveal even darker connections between technology, war, and the space race that no one talks about out there, but that we will expose line by line. Now that you've seen how NASA's behind the scenes are intertwined with military interests and highly confidential contracts, the time has come to face one of the boldest, and at the same time most plausible, ideas circulating among physicists, independent theorists, and silenced experts: the theory of infinite energy of space. This idea goes beyond solar panels or wind turbines. It touches on something much deeper, a concept that, if confirmed, could overthrow all power structures based on energy control as we know it today. We are talking about quantum vacuum energy. And if that name seems complicated, think about it this way. Even in the emptiest places in the universe, where there is apparently absolutely nothing, no matter, no heat, no light, there is still constant vibrational activity. The vacuum is not empty. It pulses. and this pulsation contains energy, lots of energy, sufficient energy, according to several studies, to supply entire civilizations, continuously without the need for refueling, combustion, or pollution. This has already been described by scientists such as Richard Feynman and John Wheeler, but curiously, this topic was gradually erased from the mainstream media, universities, and public debate circles. Why? Because accepting that there is an unlimited energy source present everywhere in the cosmos is admitting that everything we know about energy scarcity is a convenient lie. It is admitting that we could, right now, rewrite energy distribution systems, cancel foreign debts of oil-dependent countries, and transform the global power structure forever. But there are those who say that this energy is already being used, discreetly, for projects that don't even appear in the books. And here comes something even more disturbing. Insider sources, leaked documents, and testimonies from top-secret program engineers suggest that reverse technology, supposedly derived from non-Earth artifacts, is being used to access this quantum field. Imagine ships that do not depend on fuel because they extract energy directly from the space around them. Imagine compact devices that can generate clean, silent, uninterrupted power 24/7 anywhere in the universe. This is beyond science fiction, but the reports are constant, and they repeat themselves with eerily similar details. There are space missions that use satellites with continuous solar capture systems, orbiting regions where sunlight is constant. Yes, but some engineers say these satellites are just the public facade from a much more advanced experiment. The combined use of solar capture and vacuum energy, creating a self-sustaining cycle. This would explain the unusually long lifetime of certain probes and their ability to operate with stable energy in regions where exposure to solar radiation should not be sufficient. And the artifacts that gave rise to this reverse engineering, they are often linked to places where supposed extraterrestrial contacts occurred, such as Roswell in New Mexico or the mysterious Area 51. In these regions, several former employees of agencies such as the CIA, NASA itself, and third-party projects claim to have seen devices that defy all known laws of physics. Flying saucers, control modules, and most importantly, unknown generators that had no visible energy inputs. All of this was collected, studied, and locked away. Now, stop, think, and feel the weight of it. What if this infinite energy is already being used by a few, while the rest of the world still lives in the dark, paying dearly for energy that never needed to be limited? This is not just an injustice. This is an artificial division of evolution, an invisible wall between what we could be and what we are allowed to be. And tell me in the comments, do you believe that space energy is already being used in secret? Or do you think that all of this is still in the field of unexplored possibilities? Comment below. Write something like "the vacuum is not empty," or even "the energy is already ours." Phrases like that activate the algorithm and help us spread this conversation. And the deeper we delve into this maze of secrets, the clearer it becomes. It's no longer about theory. The question, what if they are already using it, begins to take on a tone of inevitable affirmation, because the signals are everywhere, masked by technical jargon, silenced by confidentiality agreements, and protected by a system that depends on secrecy to maintain control. But now you will begin to see what was hidden in plain sight. Let's talk about self-sufficient underground bases. Few people know, but there are places around the world operating under the strictest secrecy, excavated in mountains, deserts, or glaciers, which function as small isolated worlds. What powers these facilities? Where are the power cables? Where are the generators? You don't find it, because these places are designed to work off-grid. The Cheyenne Mountain Base in the USA, for example, is a military fortress buried under massive rocks, built to resist nuclear attacks, and which has an independent energy system without public details. And this is just one of dozens of examples. Inside, sources report that some of these bases not only produce their own energy, but do so no combustion, no noise, and no constant maintenance. Conventional technology? Impossible. And then the question appears like a blade. What type of energy source can keep facilities operating for years, with stability, without needing refueling, without heat emission, without risk of collapse? The answer no one wants to give is the most obvious: vacuum energy, or something very close to it, developed from occult projects and possibly even reverse engineering of objects of non-terrestrial origin. What about NASA? She is at the center of this puzzle. Several of its most iconic vehicles carry energy systems never fully explained. Take, for example, the Curiosity rover on Mars. It has been active since 2012, facing dust storms, brutal thermal variations, and continues to function as if it were activated yesterday. Officially, it is powered by a radioisotope thermoelectric generator, but independent studies point to inconsistencies in wear rates and energy longevity, and he's not the only one. The Perseverance rover, its successor, also carries a long-lasting generator. It turns out that this long duration already goes beyond what would be conventionally expected. So either we are facing a new technology that has not been revealed to the public, or there is much more going on under the covers. Use satellites in orbit. They also deliver clues. There have been active satellites for over 30 years. Satellites that continue sending data, maintaining thermal stability, with solar panels that theoretically should have lost efficiency a long time ago. And we're not talking about just any satellite. We're talking about fundamental pieces for military communications, global navigation, and geospatial monitoring. Satellites that simply don't stop working. In some cases, NASA and companies like Boeing or Northrop Grumman even claim energy self-sufficiency as an argument, but they don't detail. And every time someone tries to question this, the answer is the same: classified information. And then the penny starts to drop. Because while the world is experiencing energy crises, wars over oil, blackouts, rationing, and entire populations paying absurd rates for electricity, there is a group that has already overcome all this and lives on another level of technological access. The energy elite is not in the oil palaces. It is in the shadows of space, hidden in remote research, centers operating with sources that the world does not even recognize as possible. This is the face of modern technological injustice. It's not just about having more money or more influence. It's about accessing the kind of energy that could literally define the future of civilization. And keeping this technology out of the public's reach is strategic, because energy is freedom. And too much freedom scares those who live under control. You begin to realize that the real frontier is no longer scientific. It's geopolitics. It's about domination. We are talking about a reality divided between those who live with imposed scarcity and those who enjoy denied abundance. A purposeful division maintained with silence, secret contracts, and a thick layer of disinformation. If this part of the video made you reflect, if it caused you a feeling of revolt, or opened your eyes to something that no one is talking about, then leave a like now. This shows that you are awake and that this content needs to go beyond the bubble. Now comment below. Do you believe this energy is already in use? What secret underground bases and satellites are running technology that has been hidden from the world? Write phrases like "it is already among us" or "energy denied" in the comments, because this helps spread this discussion and attracts more people to this collective investigation. And now, think calmly and feel the weight of this question. What if the key to ending poverty, hunger, and war was already ready, but it was under lock and key? We are not talking about a distant utopia. We are talking about something concrete, real, proven by documents, projects, patents, and experiments that have been buried over the decades. We are talking about a clean, inexhaustible source of energy, present in the very fabric of the universe, in the vacuum, in the quantum structure of reality, a technology that could completely reverse dependence on fossil fuels, stop wars fought over oil, eliminate electricity bills, transform villages without electricity into innovation hubs, save billions of lives. But it was deliberately silenced. Now imagine what would happen if all this came to light, not just revealed in a video, but proven, irrefutable, public. What would collapse? Financial systems built on scarcity, the big energy corporations, governments that profit from chaos, stock exchanges that operate based on oil, the central banks that control the rhythm of the planet. Everything would collapse. Why? Energy is the basis of power, and whoever controls the energy controls the world. Revealing that this source already exists and that it was hidden on purpose would be the equivalent of pulling the thread of truth and dismantling an entire empire of lies. But there's a problem. They don't want you to think about it. They don't want you to believe that this possibility is real. That's why they call it theory. That's why they ridicule. That's why they hide evidence. Silence. Voices manipulate the narrative. Because if the people know that they can live free, the control ends, and the world they built falls apart. So now it's up to you. Anyone who believes that NASA has already discovered infinite energy and chose not to share it with the world, comment below. NASA hides the source. This phrase is like a silent signal among all of us who see what is behind the curtain. When you comment, you show that you are awakened and help spread this truth that they try to bury. And if you want to see more content like this, leave a like now. This boosts the video and takes this message to more people who need to see what is being hidden. And get ready to click, because the next video that appears on the screen will take you down a new path, deep conspiracies and mysteries involving NASA. Another secret, another enigma. You'll want to watch it. Buckle up and come with me on this next journey.